inspiring Uganda.
Good evening and welcome to Behind the Headlines. My name is Timothy Nyangweso. SEC will be meeting Friday at 10 a.m. to decide who will be Speaker. But also, the NRM caucus will be meeting this Sunday exactly to discuss the same topic, the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker of the 12th Parliament. For the first time in 20 years, no one is going to be able to retain their seat as Speaker for 2 terms or Deputy Speaker for 2 terms. That is a precedent that is being set by the 12th Parliament, especially what has been happening for the last 7 days. It began from a tweet, went to a retraction, went to a raid, came furthermore to where we are seeing everything on the media and on social media, reprimanding theft or illicit money that is there. The question tonight we ask institutions, social media, personalities, what should take precedent in leading this country? This is the topic of discussion tonight. Let me get to the guests that are with me in the studio. On my immediate left, Julia Muhumza, a lecturer and a youth leader, making a maiden appearance here for the first time. Julia, good evening and it's good to have you.
Thank you for having me.
How are you?
I'm okay, and a special shout out to all the young people listening in tonight.
Honorable Paul Omara, representing the people of Otuke County, is with us this evening, a member of the National Resistance Movement, to be specific. Good evening, Honorable, it's good to have you.
Good evening, Timothy, and good evening, viewers.
So you will answer every NRM question?
I will try if I can.
Okay. The old man of the clan, CEO of the Independent magazine, Mr. Andrew Mwenda, is with us this evening, grandpa to the country. Good evening, son. It's good to have you.
To be here, my great-grandson.
How are you?
I could be better.
Why?
If you had made my granddaughter sit next to me and pushed Omara there, I would be between 2 granddaughters. Now for you, you're a very bad man. Eh? You separated us. So I am with the grandchild panelists tonight.
But we shall make sure during the break you have the pleasantries exchanging there.
Okay.
Next to Andrew is Dr. Shamin K. Matovu, who is a corporate governance and behavioral specialist at that. She's with us this evening. Doctor, good evening, and how are you?
Good evening. Thank you so much for having me, and I'm doing well. Thank you.
We'll also be joined by Honorable Norbert Mao, Chairman, President General of the Democratic Party, also representing the people of Laro Peche in Gulu there, and vying for the speakership of the 12th Parliament. We'll get into that topic in a short while there. You can be part of the show. Go to our YouTube channel. Drop your comment there. We'll get to it at the top of the hour. But also, we're streaming live on X. Drop your comment on our X platform. The number for text or WhatsApp, 0709 60 25 92. And let's dig into this conversation. Andrew, it's only befitting that I come to you, being that you are a member of PLU. And PLU began this in March. You endorsed. We came to the 12th of May, you withdrew endorsement. Then you told us what would be happening next. Then there is a party. What do you make of what has happened in these last 7 days?
Well, I should put it this way. There has been a convergence of 2 different but self-reinforcing and compatible aims or pursuits. I believe that on the one hand, President Yoweri Museveni found it necessary to clip Anita Among's wings because she had grown very powerful. On the other hand, okay, let me put it this way. President Yoweri Museveni found it necessary and was seeking to clip Anita Among's wings because she had amassed a lot of power and influence within both NRM and the government that I suspect, this is me second reading Museveni, he felt she was going to pose a threat to his power over time. On the other hand, you have General Muhoozi, who is hostile to public corruption, but also public displays of ostentation and luxury. So the two pursuits converged on one single individual, Anita Among. So let me give you a background. I wrote an article in The Independent on the 21st of the 21st of March this year, saying the following things about Anita. First of all, she's a highly skilled politician. She came not from NRM but from FDC, joined NRM in 2021, and she has achieved almost absolute mastery of parliament. If a free and fair election had been held or was held in that parliament today, she would get maybe 485. We had calculated 485 votes out of 529. So only about 40 to 43 MPs will not vote for her. That is one. Two, because of her role as Speaker of Parliament and therefore Chair of the Appointments Committee, she had built a very powerful influence within the judiciary. Hardly could anybody go with a case in the courts and defeat her. Three, Anita Among had built a power base among Ugandan elites in the religious institutions, the mosques and the churches, in the business community, in the professions, and in politics. These ministers you see like the Omaras. Omara maybe has a daughter or a nephew. She would use her influence in the Parliamentary Commission to ensure that they get jobs. And Parliament in Uganda is the highest paying institution, more than the private sector. So she was giving people jobs there. And critically, she joins NRM in 2021, and in 2025, 5 years later, she decides to run for vice chairperson, national vice chairperson of NRM women on the women's ticket against Kadaga. Kadaga had been in NRM since 1989. Kadaga had been speaker for 20 years, 10 years as deputy speaker, 10 years as full speaker. They go neck to neck in the campaign. Now, let me give you a background of how you are elected the national vice chairperson women in NRM. One, you have to have all LC3 chairmen, all LC5 councillors, all LC5 chairmen and chairpersons for that matter. Then you have to have all mayors of town councils, cities, and municipalities. And then you have to have these leagues, the youth league, the women's league, people with disability, then veterans, then the elderly, then women. It is such a huge constituency, and so they go neck to neck, and this is Anita Among capturing the infrastructure of a party called NRM. She beat Kadaga by 93%. The day she beat Kadaga by 93% gave me a signal that Museveni cannot tolerate this. It will be very difficult for Museveni to tolerate a person who has that overwhelming influence in parliament, overwhelming influence in the party, and now he can peer and see in the judiciary, in the elite circles of Uganda. Now, of course, Anita Among had consistently argued or told Museveni, I'm very loyal to you, I will never threaten your power, I will support Moses' succession. She had said all these things. And when she said these things, I'm inclined to believe that it's possible she was sincere. I have personally met her because I had similar concerns. She invited me to her home. I went to see her because I had written this article complaining that she has so much power. And she gave me her background and her history. She said she can never ever challenge Museveni because he's the one who made her. So let me, because me I'm an easily gullible person, I believe in her sincerity, that she was sincere. But then I put myself in Museveni's shoes. If you are Museveni, you can think or you can say, this lady is sincere. She has no premeditated plan to rival or to seek power from me. Then you force, Museveni faces two dilemmas. Dilemma one, if, first of all, intentions are very difficult to know. People's intentions are difficult to know. She may be lying, she may be genuine. But two, intentions change with time. So right now she may be sincere, but the capabilities and influence she's building in the state and the party may in the future tempt her to seek the presidency and wrestle it from me. So as a precaution, it is better for me to clip her now, even if she doesn't have any plan now, any premeditated plan to seek the presidency, because I don't want to be shocked. Even if there is a 2% chance that in future she will change, rather a 2% chance that she's likely to be a threat, I need to neutralize that threat. I think Museveni, the gorilla, would think like that. So it became increasingly imperative for Museveni that this lady's wings should be clipped. Now, Anita Among had done one big mistake, either deliberately or innocently. She had given Museveni a rope to hang her, and had written this in April 2024. Her ostentatious living, her luxury mansions, her expensive cars and dresses, all those things tended to alienate her in the eyes of the Ugandan public. Ugandan public did not like her. And there were exhibitions of
Parliament.
corruption. Not parliamentary exhibition of the Agatha Twaires, no. I'm saying she exhibited a lot of wealth and affluence and luxury. But that not only revolted many elite Ugandans against her, but it also gave Museveni a rope with which to hang her. So at any one time, I felt she was vulnerable. At one time, I thought maybe Museveni may keep her because she was so vulnerable. He knew he can anytime call upon her financial indiscretions to get even with her. Now, of course, human beings as we are made, we are always driven by the personal. People are, I do not think that Anita Among's problem was corruption, because remember that Anita Among did not take money out of Parliament necessarily for her personal use. That was a small side effect. Anita Among's use of parliamentary money was actually to build Museveni's political base. In fact, to get Museveni's legislation in the Parliament passed. Because I am reliably informed that before Anita Among became Speaker of Parliament, whenever Museveni needed major legislation to go through Parliament, a major action to take place, he would invite these Omaras, these MPs, to State House, give them tea, pay their transport, pay their medical bills, pay their children's fees, clear their loans, spend a lot of money in order to get the vote. When Anita came in, she said, okay, Muse, you don't have to do that. Let me handle Parliament for you. You see, the strength of Anita Among, people don't know, is she has excellent interpersonal skills. That is why she's so effective in electoral colleges. And she may not be effective in a presidential campaign where you are elected by anonymous people. Why she was effective in electoral colleges? Because if you meet her and deal with her at a personal level, she's a very generous people think she was using money, but Among was using 20 to 25% of the money Museveni was using to get 300% of the results Museveni was getting. Museveni was spending a lot of money and getting, like in this election on Olanya. Olanya got 55% of the vote as speaker. But for her, she would use less money and get bigger results. So she would get more for less, or from less. So again, that was another signal to Museveni that this is a ferocious political animal. I have friends that tell, I think that of all the politicians Uganda has produced in the last 40 years of Museveni, I would put her among the top 5. Museveni being number 1 without a doubt, but I would put her among the top 5 because she had the skill to win over people by sheer force of her personality more than her money. Because money cannot be effective if you are rude to people. And so she knew how to. I have a young friend, he was the mayor of Hoima. He was telling me the other day, he lost an election, and this election, somebody defeated him. But she picked the phone and called him and said, I am to empathize or sympathize with him. People who reach out to people like that in such a moment when you have lost an election, the whole speaker, powerful, she's calling a small mayor in a mayor rather than Hoima. I don't know how many people she called and won. That can win you more money than any millions of shillings. And rather can win you more support, more attraction than any money you can spend. So she knew how to touch people and make them feel connected to her. And that political strength is what threatened, terrified Museveni.
But when you look at everything that has happened, what's the intended end in mind?
So I told you that there is a convergence. I told you there is a convergence of two different but compatible pursuits. Museveni's pursuit of removing a potential rival. Remember, I'm not using the word rival because she was not his rival. A potential rival out of the political ring. And General Muhoozi's pursuit of sending a signal that, please, when you are in a public office, do not abuse public funds and do not exhibit ostentatious living.
What's the relationship between NRM and PLU?
PLU is an ally of the NRM. PLU is a pressure group or a political movement that emerged from very many Ugandans who want to see a transition in the country and who believe in the leadership of General Muhoozi Kainerugaba. So it is a movement that was born out of support for an individual rather than an ideology, and it is because people think that he has exhibited a high sense of public spiritedness. You've never had him involved in business deals. You've never had him live ostentatiously. He wears simple clothes. He leads by example. When he went as CDF to UPDF, he has cleaned out the Ministry of Defense of corruption. He has projects that had failed for decades. He has, in just 2 years now, he's finishing a UPDF headquarters, finishing the UPDF hospital. He's done so many. They're beginning to build barracks because UPDF soldiers have been living in Mama Ingia Pole, you know, these grass-thatched huts. Now they're beginning to build serious barracks for them. So Ugandans know that this is a very serious person who insists on performance management and accountability for results. You see, last time I was here, I told you guys the government of Uganda has a system of accountability based on procedures. Yet you need accountability for results, and Muhoozi is result-oriented. So within NRM, there is a large constituency of people who want to see improvement in the quality of governance, improvement in the effectiveness and efficiency of the state at delivering public goods and services, and they see that in Muhoozi, and that is how PLU was born.
We'll come back to that, especially some things you've said about the general there. We've been joined by the Honorable Norbert Mao. Thank you very much for coming. I introduced you
But I
earlier
should say, my grandson, Norbert Mao, came late. Now, this shows that you did not learn the lessons me as your grandfather taught you. So you are supposed to pay a fine of 2 million shillings only. And I am the one...
No, now we deal with dollars.
And the Honorable, let me come to Honorable Mara.
Yeah.
Honorable, you're a member of the NRM.
Yeah.
You've been a member of the 11th Parliament. You're now a member of the 12th Parliament. Why should Ugandans trust you?
Trusting me as a person?
You as an institution.
As an institution. Let me start like this, that a day in politics is almost like 100 years. And what has happened in a few days has taken us by surprise. But let me say this, that we are all human beings and capable of making mistakes as individuals. But the institution of Parliament, in terms of doing our, especially for 11th Parliament where I've been, doing our roles of appropriation, doing our role of oversight, of making approvals, of legislation. I think we've been able to pass some incredible legislation.
The quantity is there, but the quality is the
quality.
Like for example, the UPDF Amendment Act, which was thrown away by the Supreme Court. We took it in, and we really did a fantastic job. It is a law in place at the moment. The law which would allow us to do country-to-country importation of fuel under UNOC, we did a fantastic role. That's why the fuel prices here is low compared to what is happening in Kenya. The there are many legislative laws that we made. But the fact that an individual has made a mistake, we should never...
The leader of that institution.
Yes, we should never gaslight it to destroy the institution. Because we need it. We need Parliament, which is accountable to the people. We need a Parliament that is independent, doing its role as captured under the Constitution. Now, I think this is a learning point. We need to find a way of making sure that there is internal checks and balances within Parliament itself in terms of accountability and also rigor by parliamentarians, just to making sure that the governance process within the Parliament itself is something that works for parliamentarians and work for the country. So my appeal is that a mistake has been made by an individual, which is not yet proven. It is an alleged corruption tendencies, which is still under investigations. We don't know. I can't pass judgment now. So my appeal is let us not destroy the institution of Parliament on account of a perceived mistake by the leader of the August House.
You've still not answered my question, Honorable. Why should Ugandans trust that institution? Because you've talked about accountability, you've talked about the roles of Parliament, and the question still lingers. Why should they?
No,
perception is everything here.
You know, let me put it this way. Maybe we should ask the question is, how did we get here? How did we get here? One, when we came here in 2021, we had the candidate, the late Jacob Olanya, as our candidate for Speaker, and the Right Honorable Anita Among as the Deputy. Our focus in the main were on Jacob, because he's somebody that we knew in terms of his ideology on NRM, very strong, in terms of character, in terms of knowledge, expertise. So we trusted Jacob. And for the Right Honorable Anita Among, she had not been a speaker before. So she was a candidate, a co-host with Jacob. And in our minds, we thought the late Jacob would handhold her for a period of time on issues of stewardship of Parliament and so forth. Unfortunately, we did not have the full benefit of enjoying the knowledge and everything that came with J.O. He passed on. Now, that is number 3 position. The responsibility of vetting, number 3, a speaker and a deputy speaker, number 5, is through our NRM executive process, through the SEC. Now, the fact that, you know, it could have been a failure of vetting if it is proven that there were character flaws. It is a failure of vetting from the institution of the party that gave us the individual. So as Parliament or NRM, our mandate as a caucus was to support what has been presented to us by the Central Executive Committee. And so that is the person that we were given. So I think the focus should not be on Parliament as an institution. I think I would describe it as a state failure, because the state, as it is, should be interested in the individuals who hold especially higher public offices. There should be serious vetting. If you, and Andrew Mwenda would know this, in China, they have it bureaucratic centralism. For you to be at the highest level of the party, where the echelons of the leader of the country, you must have been